Welcome back to another episode of the Bussin Spring Football Tour. I know we've been talking about football, spring ball, but coming to the University of Tennessee, we had to get on the juggernaut. We had to get on Coach Vitello. Correct?
Correct.
Tony Vitello.
I feel like it's the most Italian name ever.
Yeah. Young gun. I mean, look at him.
He's handsome.
Before we sit here and melt on our couches, this thing is brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the hardest working truck on the planet, dependable, durable, just like the people who drive them, you and Coach V. But we had to get the baseball guys on. You guys are crushing it. I hate that you guys just lost one last night because you guys were on an 11-game win streak. You're 30-2 now. Is that correct?
31-2.
31-2.
Can't forget that one.
And Jack is a huge Tennessee guy.
Yeah,
and
everybody's went to school here.
Yeah, and everybody's been talking about Tennessee baseball, and I'm on my phone last night, late at night, scrolling, seeing all your guys' highlights and everything else, and Coach Eckler's giving me a background on you guys. You guys are kind of like the Detroit Pistons, the bad boys of SEC baseball, college baseball.
Yeah, the Raiders.
Would you agree with that? Is that fair to say? Is that a good assessment?
I mean, I kind of like that now at this age. I grew up, my old man's from Chicago, so I grew up a Bulls fan, and I hated the Pistons. But I think if you're a competitor, that's kind of the way it should be. You should love the guy if he's on your team, or you should love your team if they're yours. And then you want to be hated if you walk into an opponent's building, you don't want them to like you because that means they're thinking easy victory.
Yeah.
Yeah, but baseball in a lot of ways, like you don't see guys hitting grand slams and going halfway to first base.
Talking shit, dude.
And then
Talking
throwing
cat.
that shit in the air like it's fucking nothing. Like did you walk into the team meeting room one day and go, hey, here's the deal. Fuck these guys, all of them. It's just us. It's our pirate ship.
No, I mean, I do think we've got a certain attitude about us, but you have to in order to survive in our league. But
SEC people, man.
Yeah.
Sorry. Any Power 5 league.
No,
let's maybe
stop
say
it.
that.
We know what you're saying.
But then we had a non-Power 5 team put it on us last night. So, no, again, at the end of the day, it's all about competition, and you got to be who you are. And that guy in particular you're speaking of is one of our team leaders, and he's just very unique. He's a gentleman off the field, and he's an assassin on the field. And sometimes I do my best to control him, but sometimes I can't.
Yeah, those
What's
are the
his
best kind
name?
of players.
Yes, Drew Gilbert. He's a fan favorite, and again, anyone that's got to know him as a person would love him. But immediately when we go into another place, we were in Oxford, Mississippi recently, and it took their fans about 2 outs in the first inning, and he was just on deck to understand that he's not the one to like. But, our guys do got a little bit of way about them that, again, if you're cheering for us, I think you enjoy. And if not, you may question it. But I don't think anyone ever goes over the line to do something disrespectful to the opponent. It's just, in baseball, you got to be a personality. If you look at, like, the most fun teams since we've been alive, like the Phillies back in the John Crook era, Darren Dalton and those guys, and the Red Sox when Millar was on their team. I mean, it's long days as a baseball player. You got to have some stuff going on in the locker room to bring you together and also keep you entertained during all those hours.
So this is your 5th season with the Volunteers. Is this like something that's kind of built over time, or is it for whatever reason this year?
No,
it's kind of just you guys have become like the bad boys of the SEC.
No, I think last year, without last year's team, this year's team is not having the success they are. And then if you go back to our first year, our pitching coach and I were joking about how we were just starving for any win possible, and that's how we were handling our pitching, was just one day at a time. We just need as many wins. So it's been, without going into the whole long story, it's been a gradual deal. And I'll tell you what, when the fans got on board, and you know how crazy our fans are, that's what kind of helped catapult this whole thing.
I think what's cool, too, is like you guys, it's clear about you guys having fun. And like you said, if you're an outsider and you don't cheer for Tennessee, you might question it or whatever. But baseball, for the most part, is a very uniformed, buttoned-up sport. And knowing that you have a team like you do, having the fun and bringing out their personalities and having their unique style about them, and then you have a young coach like yourself who kind of embraces it. The whole Mike Concho story, the whole Mike Concho bit is hilarious. Is that something you're conscious of? You kind of just let it fly and tell the boys, like, hey, we're going out here to have fun. Who gives a shit? Like, the opinions that are out there about the sport of baseball. It's kind of like you guys are bringing a flavor to the game.
Yeah, I think that's something you try and set the tone from day one and manage what you think your culture is, kind of overused word, but what your style or brand name is going to be. And when we first got here, Tennessee's had great players for quite a while. I mean, Nick Senzel was the 2nd pick in the draft before we got here. I mean, they've had talent, but they hadn't had kind of a flavor that Arkansas, where I came from, you could stereotype their baseball team. And again, we talked about Mississippi or Vanderbilt. And now I think we've kind of created our own brand name. And along the way, I've kind of felt like we introduced some ideas to them. They've run with it. And now we just got to make sure that fire doesn't burn too bright. Sometimes those boys get a little out of control. And again, there is a line to walk. What's the right way to do it and what's not.
My question is, why is there a line to walk? Why not just ride this thing in the sunset? You know what I'm saying? Grab the chariots, be like Icarus, dude. Go to the sun.
Sure. Well, we're televised here, and you fellas are popular, so you got to make sure you don't say the wrong thing too many times. But no, it's the in between the lines. To be fair, what you're saying, there are no rules. So I know in baseball, I mean, there's different versions in football. In baseball, if somebody bunts when they're winning up by 6 runs or someone throws inside, I mean, where's the rules? You're between the lines, and it's kill or be killed. And then at the end of the day, kind of like UFC guys do when they dab each other up, it's like, how the hell are they doing? They just try to kill each other. But it's a mutual respect for, hey, what just went on here? There was something pure there. And almost kind of primal that we are getting into it, and now it's over with.
When you say like bunting, when you're up 6 runs, like what are some of the like unspoken rules of baseball that you just don't do that maybe you guys do?
Yeah, that's what's interesting. Like you said, why is there a line? They're unwritten, so there is no actual book. So it's kind of
the gentleman's game part.
Yeah, it's kind of all up to perception, and I don't think. You want to be sending guys from second base on a borderline call to score if you're already up 10, 12 runs. I think it's just, not putting the pedal to the metal too much if it's, a big lead for your team. But, otherwise, it's like Batista hits that homer against the Rangers and throws his bat. If you don't want him to throw his bat, then don't give up a home run. Right. If you hit a ball that far in that situation, to me, you can do whatever you want. And if you're the opponent and you don't like it, then do something about it.
Well, they do something about it. The next time he's up at bat, next time you guys play,
little chin music.
He catches a little chin music, one in the ribs real quick. When is the time, in baseball, is it like that in college baseball? Do you guys kind of give him the, hey, this dude's been talking?
No.
Give him one?
No, it really doesn't go on at our level. I mean, I saw one of our JUCO commits. I went down and watched him, and he actually hit a kid in the helmet, and the first base coach yelled, I think I can say whatever.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck are you doing? And he basically stormed onto the field, and, the kid just had one get away. I mean, these guys, that's just not a part of our game as much now. I think in the big leagues, maybe a little bit. You saw Lindor get hit in the head, but I really don't feel like there was intent there. There's too much money involved. Plus, nowadays, instead of like George Brett playing for the Royals his whole career, you might get traded the next day and be on that guy's team that you just threw at. So, Hey,
that's wild like that.
I know, right?
The trades are crazy. Like in football, I don't know when the trades are, but in football, it's like week 8. By week 8, you can't trade anybody anymore. Right. How's it work in baseball?
No, it's deeper into the year in baseball. And two, when you come up through the minor leagues, you might have played with all these guys because there's a bunch of trades that may go on throughout a guy's career just trying to make it up, through the ranks. And then two, now all these guys like Bryce Harper, first time I ever saw him was at the area code games. It's where all the best players go. Well, they all become buddies, and especially on social media now too. So as intense and competitive as much money as there is out there, I think at the end of the day, all these guys are kind of buddies. I mean, Drew Gilbert, again, maybe the most hated or the villain leader of our team.
Love him.
Yeah, trust me, you would. But he played on Team USA, so there's the best player from Florida and the best player from Georgia, and they all get to know him and they all like him.
The Mike Honcho bit, was that something that was premeditated? Did you just watch Talladega Nights recently?
No.
Or was that just off the top and you're having fun?
No, I need to watch Talladega Nights soon. But
hold on, you haven't seen Talladega Nights?
No, I've seen it plenty. I feel it's proper to visualize or see that every month or so.
That's fair. It is one of those movies.
You got your staples.
Yeah. But those in-game interviews, like I can't believe like a guy like Saban, like the halftime interview or right before kickoff, but I know they have to do it. But it's cool when you're watching on TV, but when you have to do it in the dugout and like your guys are hitting or pitching, it's distracting. And so I had a lot of emotions boiling in my body, and that was just kind of what came out. I say a lot of dumb things sometimes because you got the Italian temper going.
You got that? You got that Italian temper? It's just blaming.
I'm Italian.
Yeah, I'm Italian.
Yeah, I got
anger issues.
Yeah,
it's a good alibi.
Yeah.
But no, nothing premeditated. Just a question. And Chris Burke, who was a legendary player here, works for ESPN. He was the one conducting the interview, and I just have a level of comfort with him. So it's kind of like us sitting here. Having a beverage talking. Yeah. That's my first F word, I think, with me. That kind of feels good.
Let's go.
You can just start letting them fly now. You know what I'm saying?
I'm Italian.
Network,
I should be able to.
Fuck these guys.
Exactly. It's an excuse.
Gestures and F-bombs.
What are these guys doing? All the stereotypical
Like,
things.
what
You
is
just hit
Coach
them
V
all.
doing? He's just disrespecting. He can't help it. He's Italian.
Exactly. Yeah,
We'll pioneer that for you
rocked
too.
in there.
Anytime you have an interview, we'll pioneer that for you. Hey, nobody get mad at him. He's fucking
We'll
Italian.
just redo your interview and just put fuck where you should have.
I appreciate that. If you do a little history, you probably need to patch some things up between a fast food restaurant and myself. Yeah.
What is that? Like, you dive into that.
Well, it was after a game, and my stomach was in knots, kind of like you know, would be if you ate at you can pick whichever one you want. And I said that out loud, and they happen to be one of our sponsors, so that didn't go over very well.
So you don't want to say the name because they're still a sponsor.
No, I've already written enough apology notes.
Does it rhyme with?
No,
I want to say.
It's Raising Cane's?
No, not at all.
Hey,
not at
Cane's
all.
is
Our guys
fantastic.
love Cane's right up the road.
So are we able to say who?
We can leave it at that for now.
Yeah, that's fair. That is a smart move. Hey,
He already apologized, so he already backpedaled. He's got to stay true to.
I got to find a way to make up with last night's umpire, so that's on my to-do list.
Yeah.
We're gonna. I don't
with
need any more.
umpires, you see them pretty frequently, the same ones.
Oh yeah, you do. And
It's got to be tough.
no, it is, and you'd like to think like, hey man, when you're in your garb you're wearing or whatever, and I'm in uniform, we're these characters, and then outside, like, I don't really care. I don't know how you guys were as teammates, but sometimes it's hard to differentiate. Maybe you don't respect a teammate as much, but off the field, he's a civilian or he's just a dude.
Yeah, I love that. Maybe he's a civilian.
Yeah.
I tell you what, he's got the Italian in him. He reminds me of like Coach Bo. He kind of blacks out as he's out there coaching. I don't know if you're familiar with Coach Bo Pelini, but
very.
You guys probably running the same,
Like the
mob
fire.
ties and stuff like that. Yeah. I didn't know where I was going with that. I was kind of
that's
just making
beautiful.
a comment.
I do want to know a little bit something about you were bringing up Bonne Terre, Missouri, when you went to school.
Yeah.
Before this, I want to hear a little
He
bit
asked
about
me,
that.
he goes, you went to North County? And I'm like, how in the fuck do you know about North County?
Yeah.
And then you're like, stop, save it.
Well, I'm from St. Louis, and so the big thing there, right or wrong, is where'd you go to high school? That's the first question everybody asks someone in high school. So I know where you guys went, and because of recruiting rules, I can't speak too much about your high school, but...
Really? We got some studs out there.
Very good relationship there with their best player.
Why?
Really cool.
Okay, you can't speak too much about his school because of what kind of rules?
I can say the school, right?
If
You won't get in trouble
if a kid commits but he's not signed, you can't say anything.
But I
Okay,
can say.
so there's a kid who's committed at the said school, but we can't say the school.
Can I say the school?
No,
I went to
you
the
can't
school.
say the school.
You
We
can
can't make
say
it-
your school
I can say
for
Chaparral
sure.
High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a
a
little
great
baseball
school.
We just can't
too.
say, hey, is he from Chaparral
They
High
have some
School?
studs out there. Well, he can't say Chaparral High School,
He
but I
can't,
can
and we
say
can't
Chaparral
even
High
ask
School.
that. We're just saying
We
what your
love
school
to ask,
is.
but we can't talk
You're
about
right.
it because
But
I
you
went to Chaparral. I
Chaparral.
went to Chaparral.
Fantastic.
my
Got
senior
you.
year.
Got you.
Outstanding school.
A lot of good players out of that
A
place.
lot of good players in that area. Arizona baseball is solid.
Oh, yeah, huge.
It's a nice deal out there.
So, I coached at University of Missouri. Ian Kinsler was on the first team that I coached. And
What years?
At Missouri?
Yeah.
99, 02 as a player, and then I was there until 11 as a coach.
Were you there with
That's why we were going to bring up.
Bro,
asked Coach Hype a recruiting story. He doesn't know. You said his name. I wasn't going to say his name.
Okay.
I was going to go fast food
we can
restaurant.
bleep that out too. The reason we bleep it out, here's why. So his dad,
I'm so excited
very
to hear
familiar. I'm very familiar with that family. His dad was my football coach growing up. He was a stud player in high school. I'm sure, obviously he went and pitched at Mizzou. But basically, I was like in 4th, 5th, 6th grade, just terrorizing the fields of Bonne Terre, Missouri. I mean, I was a savage.
Savage.
And every Friday, or if it was a Saturday day game, his dad would take me. He would drive a couple of us players to go watch them play North County play because North County was a good football team too. But was like that dude in high school, or was that dude in high school.
There's a
so
twist.
now once you said Missouri,
When you say he was that dude in high school, like as a player, or was he like slaying? What were we talking about here?
As an athlete, he's a good athlete, good football player, good baseball player.
Probably slayed too.
Smaller too, could sling it. Like you
Really?
wouldn't think he could sling it, like have a fastball and stuff because he's not tall and lanky and all that. But he was just a stud person, and he had a story that we can share.
You asked Coach Hype about a recruiting story. I was fortunate enough to be listening in, and I immediately thought, because you were the one asking the question, well, I got a recruiting story for you, because I'm really young. I had begged the coach to let me be the volunteer coach, just unpaid coach. And after a year, our recruiting coordinator leaves. And I eventually get the job at a really young age, don't know what I'm doing, and I take the baton from him, from this kid we're recruiting. He's like, the first thing you need to do is kind of finish the task getting this guy committed. So I don't want to say he's the first player I recruited because I don't want that label, but he went to that high school, North County. You're the one saying his name. So he was a part of...
Just pointing, I don't want shit
You're
to
the
do
one
with
saying his name.
He was a part of the first recruiting class we ever had, along with Max Scherzer and some others.
Stud. In DeSoto?
Yeah, Max and actually threw a combined no-hitter against Texas Tech. The only problem is, later in the year, stabbed a guy.
Oh, shit. Hey, that was a twist I didn't see.
And like, no shit, stabbed the guy.
Well, it was
And
convicted?
like a good slider and like, hey, I stabbed you.
No.
That's a baseball term.
With a knife.
He used a
a
foreign object,
machete?
and he stabbed a guy.
Trying to take a life.
Oh, for
At like
real?
a house party, right?
Yes, out in the lawn. Fortunately, I wasn't there. I was still a young
And
guy.
that was a
Let's
monster.
unpack this for a second.
That was a monster deal because, again, I'm close to that family. Like, this player that we're talking about, his dad would say, hey, he would say, hang with Will for a day, take me along with him. I'm a younger cat looking up to this dude. So when this all happened,
when he
I'm thinking,
the,
holy shit.
When he stabbed the guy,
It's
you're like, maybe I got to stab a guy.
Yeah, like if I'm around, you know what I'm saying? If I'm around him in high school, as a young kid, I'm wanting to think, oh, he's like an older brother type guy.
Gotcha.
To where I can fit in and hang around everybody else.
Okay, so he was at a house party and he stabbed somebody.
Yeah, there was
the person did not die.
No, they did not.
And the altercation was over a girl?
Yeah, I think so.
You gotta assume.
I can't remember. It's kind of getting away from me.
It was late night, and there's beverages. It was one of those deals where this is the main house party, but there's kind of some offset ones, where you cross the street, and so there was some sort of back and forth between the house. But I'll tell you what, that's a tragic deal. Fortunately, the person didn't die. We're at University of Texas, and we get a big third out, and our guys are hooting and hollering out of the dugout, and it kind of gets quiet for a second, and some old fan for Texas goes, which one of you boys down there stabbed that poor kid?
No way. And he's sitting on the bench? Or he's there in the dugout?
At this point, he had been excused from it. This is later in the year. And
I don't think he was excused. He was pulled out. His ass was pulled out of there.
Correct. Which one of you boys stabbed that guy?
That poor boy, and it was comedy in a weird way. So
yeah, like the Joker comedy for sure.
And it's wild.
Hey, that's fucking crazy. But so, did he get convicted? Is he in jail now?
No.
He's just walking among us.
Yeah, charges were dropped.
Oh, so he really didn't stab somebody?
No.
Allegedly.
Clean. Just for the story.
Just like OJ. OJ never stabbed anybody.
Yeah, he's having a good old time right now.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, he's a stud. I'm talking engineer, very smart. I mean, since you recruited him,
he got away with almost murder. Yeah, he's very smart.
Almost, yeah, for sure. He did.
Allegedly.
I mean, he didn't murder anybody.
What a fucking story, man.
Did you recruit Aaron Blunt?
Yeah.
He was a stud too.
Did
That's
he
just
stab
another
somebody?
sidebar.
Down
And it's
from
just
down that way.
no.
Okay.
No, he's
But
established in his career so far.
He was one of those cats. He was a lefty, lanky, was a stud, but just didn't. He's one of those dudes that's like he had a huge opportunity, and he was like a too cool of a guy. Like went too hard, partied way too hard, way too much.
You know those guys.
Really should have given me that information ahead of time.
I would have if you would have recruited me to play baseball at Mizzou.
You play baseball?
No, I mean I played baseball growing up, but I wasn't at this level that they're. I mean, I wasn't a D1 baseball
It
player.
worked out pretty well for you.
Yeah. I chose the right sport.
We played at the old Nebraska baseball stadium. The last year was there. It was a piece of crap.
Yeah.
I mean, it was right next to the football stadium.
Yeah.
And we pulled into the parking lot, and we were able to sneak in. We were waiting for the coaches to meet. Coach Dave Van Horn's a legend. He was there at the time. I worked for him at Arkansas. And we're waiting on the coaches to decide if we're going to play or not in the rain. And we snuck into the football stadium and played. We had an empty soda bottle, and we played like a kind of. I mean, we wanted to play in that place. The history was insane.
Oh yeah,
especially for guys at our age.
One of the most storied programs.
Dude, what a small world.
Yeah.
What a small world. Talking just, I'm just. But yeah, Bonne Terre, Missouri.
The place to be.
I mean, I wish Aaron would have been he was a stud. Now I'm just. Yeah, he was awesome. I just feel like. In my opinion, he probably partied too hard. You might know more once he got to college, but he was just a stud. He was like an All-American in high school. He could sling it, bro. He could hit. He could do all this stuff. Lefty.
Yeah.
So he had movement on the ball. You know all the language. I don't know all the language, but
yeah, I mean,
had some.
I don't know. It's interesting. A lot of guys, maybe follow the Tom Brady method and never eat a carb or any of that thing. But I got to believe.
That's how it works on Bussin' with the
Tom
Boys.
Brady
Yeah.
moment.
Yeah, when Tom Brady comes on, we have to take a light off.
We take a moment of silence. Tom Brady, greatest quarterback of all
You got to
time.
be able to manage that deal. I mean, you got to be able to have fun, but you also got to be able to handle business.
Yeah.
It's been interesting coaching some guys that maybe can't do both, and other guys, are good at keeping everything organized.
Handling it.
Yeah.
Now, can you usually tell when you're in a recruiting process and you hear things about kids like, oh, hey, this kid likes to get after it a little bit? Does that worry you? Or are you kind of like, I just got to make sure I keep an eye on this kid once he gets here?
Yeah, no, I don't mind using the kid's name. Nick Schmidt was a kid in high school from St. Louis, and every time I called him, he was at a part, like, maybe it was just a basement with 12, but there was always girls and guys in the background, and he was kind of that personality. It was my first year coaching. I was young, and he walked by me at the field, and I'm supposed to be the Coach Vitello, and he's the recruit, and he smacked me on the ass. He's like, "What's up, Coach V?"
Oh, no shit.
Yeah, so...
Hey, imagine having that kind of confidence with the coach.
I know, dude.
So we passed on Nick Schmidt because of that, or I did. He was the
Because
first...
he touched your butt?
Well, just the whole party
He was a
thing.
what?
He was a first rounder.
Oh, so he had that swag, dude. He had that swag.
Well, but I was accurate in my read. He went to Arkansas, and a guy named Dave Jordan was a pitching coach, and he had a kind of heart-to-heart with him and basically kind of saved the kid's soul. A little like, I don't think he became, where he never had another beer or anything, but really kind of got him more. So I was kind of accurate in my read, and he went to the right place. A lot of times with recruiting, it's about ending up at the spot that was meant for you to be at, not necessarily the best place in the world.
Whatever helps you sleep for missing out on that first rounder.
First rounder.
He ain't the only one. So.
Yeah. No doubt. That's a wild deal. As far as atmosphere goes, I've only been to one college baseball game, and that was at LSU.
Yeah.
Phenomenal time. I think I'm a big LSU fan because of that. What's the atmosphere like here? If stands packed, people getting after it?
It's bananas. I mean, it's a hornet's nest over there. I think a lot of it has to do with our field. You see where we're at. We're kind of landlocked, so everything's real close and quaint, if you want to call it that. And then our fan base, you can stereotype LSU's fan base is going to tailgate, and they're going to do this and that, and they're going to have crawfish.
Yeah, Cajuns do it a little different. Yeah, they have the open container law. They're allowed to do whatever they want.
Yeah, for sure. And I think each team in our league has phenomenal fans, but they're all, again, you could kind of describe them in 4 or 5 words and be fairly accurate. And our fans are just rambunctious, maybe more than anybody in the league. I mean, you guys were talking about the game against Mississippi.
Did you love that? So you're not a football coach, so you can kind of.
So
he's got to toe the line a little bit more. Are you watching and you're like,
you're free to say whatever you want.
Okay, I'm gonna
go ahead, let it rip.
The most deadly words in social
we won't
media.
Tell nobody. Don't worry.
You'll just be canceled in the morning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, a couple days.
Here's what I was thinking when you guys talked about it with Coach Hype is, I don't think anyone in the world wants objects thrown at another individual because you never know what crazy thing could happen. But you could see where the fans' frustration came from if you were watching. So they acted, a little bit out of line, or they acted out of line, bottom line. Here's what I'll say about Vol fans. If the referees at any point, and again, I don't coach football, I don't know who those guys were, so you can't sue me or this is
that's right. This is clean. This is the sponsor.
Yeah. All they had to say was the next thing that's thrown on this field, we're penalizing Tennessee 15 yards, and no one would have moved an inch. That's how our fans are.
Yeah, but what about Mississippi fans that might be there? Be like, oh, easy.
That's a good point.
That's true, but I think they're going to get a haymaker thrown to the jaw if they throw something and they're next to a Tennessee
volunteer fans really like that.
Hey, that's that Italian in them.
Yeah.
It's going to get a haymaker to the fucking jaw.
Yeah, baseball bat to the knees.
Baby buried with
horse head in their bed type mentality, you know what I'm saying?
That was my take on it. I mean, there's always a counter argument, but that would have been my perfect solution to calming down our fans because they're rowdy, but they don't want to hurt our team. I can tell you that.
Yeah. Volunteer fans roll deep. They were. We were a part of this thing with Barstool. It's like if your seed makes it into the Sweet 16 in basketball, that you get a certain amount of money. And we were playing. Michigan was playing Tennessee, and Michigan beat Tennessee to go into the Sweet 16. And I tweeted something like, "The haters are sick right now with Juwan Howard slapping the T." I caught fucking hands via Twitter. I was catching hands left and right. Now, I was biting the hand that fed me because obviously a lot of volunteer fans are Tennessee Titan fans.
Sure.
But they go hard in the paint where I almost had to issue like an apology. Like, hey, listen, you guys roll deep like that. It's impressive.
A formal apology.
Formal.
Like his with the sponsor.
Yeah.
I think better than the apology is just wearing that hat. That's a classic hat.
Isn't this nice?
It's big time.
I was at, what was it, Pete's? Yeah. We were at Pete's.
No free shout outs to Pete's, but also shout out Pete's.
Yeah, also great food at Pete's. And this kid, he asked for a photo, and I was like, I love your hat. He's like, thanks. And I said, I'll give you $100 for that hat. And he said, yup. And it was maybe
really
the best
was
purchase
that
I've ever
quick.
made.
Done deal.
Like that. He took it off his head. I readjusted the hat because the boy's got a bit of a dome. Smacked that thing on top, and it's been smooth sailing with this hat ever since.
Yeah.
Other than hijacking a couple of your questions. As far as like when stadiums go, what's in the SEC? Take the Volunteers out of it. What's the most hype place to play?
Well, Arkansas is where I worked before I came here. And their fans are like Cardinal fans. Just they know the game well. They're really
St. Louis,
into
stand
it.
up, baby.
Hey, St. Louis is really getting lots of shout outs right now.
Yeah, it's a massive stadium. But really, I mean, there's other towns that could throw out arguments. Starkville probably has the second or the first, nicest stadium. And then Oxford, where we just played, I mean, it's not normal to go in there and win. And Lane Kiffin comes and throws out the golf ball, and they're going crazy.
That's hilarious, by the way.
That was a good chirp. It's a solid chirp.
Yeah, I think he took some heat for that, but I think it was all in good fun. And
Right.
Seems like
but
he's always
overall,
catching
like-
hands via social media.
Because he's not scared, and
Which you gotta respect. I respect that.
it's one of the reasons he's a good coach. I mean, he's on the edge at all times, and I guess
Yeah.
if you're not, you're taking up too much space.
Should we do the Duke Cannon question of the
Absolutely.
day?
We do talk about the home run code.
Sure.
Home run code.
Yeah, what is the home run code?
Fan question from Jack McPherson.
Fan
Shout
question.
out Jack. No free shout outs.
Coach Eckler.
What's the question, Jack? It's coming from Jack. It's coming from Jack.
Sorry,
Talk
Coach.
about the home run code.
Home run cove.
Yeah.
Coat?
Coat.
Well,
Well,
home
run coat.
well,
We're
last
not
year,
going
I
into
feel
something.
stupid. That's
last
my,
year,
my
the
apologies.
guys, it all started with the Rangers. I think with Josh Hamilton was on their team, if they hit a double, they would kind of do a sign. And now all of a sudden,
Gang sign?
I don't think it was a gang sign. It was more of just a gesture.
Gotcha.
And ever since then, if you hit a double, you got to do something. And then it turned into Batista's, bat flip, and now everyone's got to do something when they hit a home run, it seems like. So our guys came up with a hat they would wear, which became really popular. The fans wanted to see it stay. This team wanted to be kind of their own team, have their own identity.
Mm-hmm.
So they carried over the hat theme, but added on to it by having this fur or mink. I've never even touched it. It's got to be nasty by now.
Yeah.
But it's a coat. That could be a woman's or a man's coat, that you
Right.
would wear in a 70s
Unisex.
gangster party.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they throw it on the guy who hit the home run when he does. So he kind of looks, pimped out or whatever you say. And they love it. I think the fans like it. You see little kids wearing these, mocked up coats
Hell
now.
yeah.
So
Dude,
it's
that
something
is awesome.
Yeah.
That's fire.
It's something that's unique to their team, and the fans have caught on. And again, if opponents got things they do when they celebrate nowadays, if you're wasting energy on that, you're wasting energy. In the
What's
wrong
the
area.
what's the hat say?
Daddy hat?
Daddy. Hey, you got a daddy hat.
I got a daddy hat.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not this one right here.
There
Daddy.
you go.
Right there.
Yeah, it's
Bought this off a guy for $100 too, actually.
You're going to be out of
At
money
Soho
pretty
House.
soon
Well,
if you keep running.
They print more every day, Coach. They print more every single day. So
That's
we're here-
true.
We're out here hunting.
I'd like to know what that kid's going to do with his 100 bones you gave him this morning. What kind
I
of
think
investment?
Jack
he's
and
It'll be
Garrett
going
asked
tonight,
him.
no question.
Blown tonight.
I think
Holding it up.
He was so stoked to meet, and he's like, Taylor's like, hey, dude, I love that hat. Can I buy it off you? And he was like, sure. He's like, I'll give you $100. He's like, okay.
Yeah,
And that was it.
There was no bargaining at
Transaction
all.
made, zero bargaining,
I really
nothing.
feel like I could have gotten away with 50, but
You
then I'd
found
ask
good.
for change, and he didn't got it, and it's like it becomes a whole
big
deal.
flex, ask for change.
Well, yeah, if it's 50, I got hundreds on me.
Yeah, I mean, you can
Oh,
have
that's
two
the
20s
flex.
and a 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
that's-
can have two 20s,
He's
two
like, what do
20s,
you
two
mean?
5s. Yeah.
Last question of the day brought to us by Duke
I actually have a
Cannon.
question too, but go ahead. Last segment of the day.
Last segment of the day brought to us by Duke Cannon, not for clowns. We have an insane NIL deal for you. We're
Insane.
going to bust with the boys is sponsoring you with Duke Cannon deodorant. You're looking at it right now, the dry ice, and I'm not shitting you. You put that on your pits, it's like a cool little breeze mist throughout the entire day.
If you're
Throughout the
wondering
entire day.
how this smells, it smells how you look. Fantastic.
Yes,
know
there
what I'm
you
saying?
go.
That's
There
exactly
you
what
go.
this stuff smells like.
Going off of your recruiting stories, obviously it's hard to top the stabbing one. But what else? You were telling us about a kid getting mugged when you were on a recruiting trip. Do you have something in the bank that you like to tell outside of what we've already discussed?
Yeah, that was a coach one where we sent him to get a Gatorade and he never came back. Poor fella.
God,
got
did he
taken-
die?
Where were you? Preface, where were we at?
We were at the same place Coach Heibel said he was at.
I think Coach I've said University of Houston. We won't ask him if it was
I
at the
think
University of
he
Houston.
I got
He was in a
buddies-
bad area of Houston.
I got buddies who work there. Actually, that gas station's no longer there, and the area has been renovated. It's
Gentrified.
Yeah. So this is a while back.
It happens.
But no, recruiting in general is wild. I wish I had one that really stuck out. I know, for me, it's always interesting when you get the kids on campus and they're walking around, and then they go off with the guys, and then the next morning you see who maybe hung out with the guys a little too late at night.
Yeah.
And I've been a part of some morning meetings where guys can't stay awake, but nothing sticks out too crazy or where I'd want to throw anyone under the bus. Although Mr. Scherzer, I was not a full-time coach when I took him around on his official visit.
So you were having it was half fun, half coach.
Yeah, and so you guys went to Pete's Diner. We went to the diner in Columbia, Missouri, which is just the diner.
Yeah.
And that is
Fire.
the spot to be. And that's the place that sealed the deal for arguably the best pitcher in the world.
Wow. That's outstanding.
Seal the deal because of the night you guys had?
Yeah, we did have a good one.
You got after it a little bit?
Yeah.
Strippers and cocaine type of vibe, or what was it?
Holy shit.
No?
No.
Was that inappropriate? I don't know.
No, it would have been inappropriate.
Taylor's kind of nights, but
Sure.
I hate strippers.
It would have been inappropriate.
They make me so uncomfortable. Anytime I've ever been in a strip club, it's like, do you want to dance? And it's like, not really.
you're raping me for $1. What
Dude,
are we
it's like,
actually
hey,
doing?
oh, you're so cute. It's like, okay, maybe, but like, leave me alone. It's just, I feel like it's when a man comes on too strong to a woman at a bar. It's the same thing. It's like, please let me breathe. You know, let me work for it a little bit type of deal.
It's
Anyway,
reverse roles
strippers,
there.
am I right? My
Very
question
glittery.
for a College World Series, what would you do to bring that to the Tennessee Volunteers? What lengths would you go to?
I don't know if I'd do what Coach Vrabel did, although I really liked watching him as a player. He's a little too intense, so I don't want to cut off any appendages that I'd like to maybe use one
Is
day.
Vrabel Italian?
He's got dark hair.
I mean, Vrabel's kind of he would know. He's got the dark hair, the tan skin, the big nose.
He's got that, he does
He's
that.
got
I feel like that's an
real-
Italian thing to do.
But it's also a very Ohio thing to do, too.
Yeah, very smug.
He
And I feel like you use your appendage much more than Vrabel does. You know what I'm saying? He just absolutely putting this guy in a box. He's a playboy. He's just getting after it.
He's got a son that's a really good baseball player.
Yeah,
Vrabel
Carter.
does. Yeah.
You think he should come here and play?
I don't know. Sometimes it's about body count. In recruiting, we do things so in advance, like Chaparral. That's young.
Yeah,
So,
he said the school.
I would not go Vrabel. I'd go Ronnie Lott. I would let a finger be taken off to go to Omaha.
And his certain finger, like, would you go middle? Would you go any of them? Would you
I
go
would
thumb?
prefer pinky. I don't want to lose the middle.
But would you go
I feel like the
thumb?
pinky cuts off too much. It makes your hand look way smaller. I'd probably go ring finger. That way you keep the whole width.
Yeah, I don't know. That pinky you could really just do without.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of like this little guy.
If you're an avid Seinfeld
just like wearing the
fan, you
ring.
can put your toes on your thumbs if you lose a thumb.
Seinfeld's a
Yeah,
great show.
would you take your thumb off?
I don't think I'd go toe
That takes you
thumb.
down the evolutionary chart.
No
You can't do
offense to
that.
anybody.
No offense to thumbless people.
Yeah, people. It's a big
Yeah,
thing. It's a big
yeah.
craze
We
right
don't wanna
now.
get canceled.
Would you donate your entire salary to Bussin' with the Boys if you guys won a World Series?
For a World
Hypothetically
Series?
speaking, just to win the World Series for the Volunteers.
For a national championship, I would do that.
All right, then. Well, what do you make before taxes?
You guys got to set up another one of these with the AD. I don't even know. I don't even care. to
You
be
don't know what
honest
you
with
make.
Oh, he knows. Come on
He
now.
knows exactly
Come on
what
now.
we make.
We're
We all
all
know
good.
what we make.
We
We all
get
know
it.
what
You
we
don't know
make.
what you make. We don't know what you make.
Yeah, I love it though. You have been outstanding.
Yeah, this
I
has
really
been great,
appreciate
man.
you being
Thank
a
you
good
so
sport.
much.
Well, you guys make it easy. You were my morning coffee after a loss last night, so hopefully we got good karma going into the weekend.
Awesome. I
Bigger
think
bat
people are
flips.
going to love this, bro.
We
This
need
is
bigger
awesome.
bat flips. We need more fans talking shit.
Yes.
Bring baseball back to what it needs to be.
And all the little kids need to be buying the oversized coats, dude. We got to embrace the home run. We got to embrace the home run.
We got to make a Bussin' baseball shirt for the boys' Vols.
We got to do
shirt.
something.
We got to do
We
something.
do something for football. We got to do
I'm a
something for
fan
baseball.
now.
I appreciate it.
I am too. I'm going to start watching
Well,
it
I
more
got
closely.
the Duke Cannon coming my way, so we'll get you guys set up.
Yeah.
All right, cool, man.
That is a fair trade-off. That sounds right. You should give us something.
Coach, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
I appreciate it.